Hey guys, Arnav once again from Coding Blocks, and today we're going to be talking about something really interesting, something that I think a lot of you guys are always thinking about. That's money, right? So, especially about tech jobs, the salaries, the packages, CTC. What does that mean? And like when you have like a CTC, it contains some base. There's like all of your tax deductible components like HRA and allowance and all of that stuff. uh, how much money are you really going to be taking home based on a certain amount of CTC? What are ESOPs? What are RSUs? What kind of bonuses exist? Like, what does a retaining bonus mean? What does a joining bonus mean? uh, you know so let's start discussing all of this, because I think there are a lot of times I have got students who have gotten 2 or 3 job offers from different types of companies, like the bigger companies who have like publicly traded shares. They're giving RSUs, and like there might be some startups which have gotten through a couple of rounds of funding, and they're giving you ESOPs and like different kinds of vesting clause, and all of these things can sound a bit confusing because just getting out of college, and it's not something that you deal with in a daily life, stocks and all. And when you get your salary and you have to pay your tax, and finally you take some money home, how much are you really going to be taking home? A lot of times I see two people, somebody joining a job which is 10 lakh CTC, actually earning more money annually than somebody who is joining a job which is like on paper 15 lakh CTC, right? So also a lot of times you guys look at people who have gotten a job offer from something like I think Microsoft giving job offers this year in campuses like the IITs. They were giving job offers which were like 49 lakh CTC. I think, of course, like parents also read about these kind of things in the newspapers, and you have like unrealistic expectations. Like after 4 years of B.Tech, you're going to be getting out and you will be actually making what, like I think 48 divided by 12, like you will be actually getting 4 lakh rupees in your bank account every month. Is that what's going to be happening, or does the 49 lakh CTC offer mean something else? So we're going to be discussing all of this in today's video. Okay, so the first thing is about the breakdown of the most basic components that exist inside your salary structure. Okay, so there are these terms that you would come across a lot. TC, which stands for total compensation; CTC, which stands for cost to company; base, which is basically like your gross salary; and take home is generally is the colloquial term that is what you think of at the end of the day, how much money you're going to be hitting your bank account, right? So let's just start with the base value here. Okay, so your base is what's your the monthly salary is kind of calculated upon, and does not contain things like bonuses. So if I have like a I don't know what, say we've got an 18 lakh job, right? So that's say let's say my base is this. Okay, so if my base is 18 lakhs per annum, so the first thing that will happen, of course, is that you're going to be taxed on this. And so there are, like, of course, right now in India there are even two kind of tax regimes in place. So if you're investing your money into things like PPF funds and ELSS, which is equity linked saving schemes, and if you're having a provident fund, so now those kind of stuff can get, or your medical insurance, those kind of things can reduce the amount of tax that you pay a little bit. But let's just say we're going to be thinking about the flat tax scheme. That is, if you're in the 18 lakh bracket, you're going to be paying 30% tax. So if you're paying say 30% tax out of this, let's just go with round figures. Let's say you're paying 33% tax. Your one third of it is tax. So if it's one third of it is tax, which would mean that your post tax income would be 12 LPA, which would eventually mean that your monthly amount of money that you'd be actually taking home, like something that will be hitting your bank account, would be 1 lakh. So that's like your take home would be 1 lakh per month. That's something that you'd be actually getting home, like in your bank account. Okay, that's from the base to the take home calculation that we've gotten here. Now your job might have certain bonuses. So say you have gotten a joining bonus of 4 lakhs. Okay, so that's your say joining bonus, right? And you have got say a performance based bonus plan, so that also exists, and that says another 4 lakhs. Okay, so this plus this 18 lakhs, so this entire component together would be your CTC, which would be in this case 26, right? So your 26 is what becomes your CTC. Okay, now apart from this, what can happen is that if you're joining a funded startup, bigger size companies, then they might be giving you ESOPs, and companies which are kind of publicly traded, like companies like say Amazon or Google, these kind of companies, they are also paying you RSUs, which stands for restricted stock units. Okay, so we're going to be discussing what is equity, what is restricted stock units, etc. But that's not cash money, so you don't like get it like even if you spend the entire year, that's not money that you're that's getting into your pockets, not in your bank account, but it is valued at certain things. So if you have like ESOPs of say a job offer of like 26 kind of a thing, you probably might be getting ESOPs of 15, right? And that can get shown there, and this 26. So your total compensation for this kind of a job might get shown up as 41, right? So this becomes 41 is your total compensation. Okay, now what happens is a lot of times companies are actually paying you your ESOPs in a very different kind of a way. They would tell you that you are being granted 20 lakh worth ESOPs. Okay, but you'd be granted this over a period of 4 years. Okay, and although you'll be granted this over a period of 4 years, they will put this entire thing in your TC. Okay, so what they will do is they will do 26 plus 20, and they will show that your total compensation is 46. Now it's not really 46 lakhs per annum, because the money that you're actually going to be costing the company annually is 26, plus in the end of the first year, the amount of stocks that you will actually make is going to be either 1/4 of 20. Okay, which would be plus 5, but usually it's not 1/4 of 20. Okay, so we're going to be starting to discuss that, but your ESOP granting actually happens in a staggered way generally. So that means in the first year you get less amount of ESOPs, second year you get a little more, third year you get even more, and the final year you get like a whole lot more. So but let's just say you're being given equity in a part manner. So in that case you get like your 26 plus 5. So if you consider like liquid cash money plus stocks, like everything that the company has given you, even the net of that at the end of the first year, you're getting 31. Okay, so you're no way getting 46. Okay, you're not getting 46, that's a lie. Okay, but a lot of times these kind of job offers, like when they come up on the newspapers, and when they come up on your blogs of your and Facebook posts, that they show up as somebody's gotten a 46 lakh offer. Okay, so it's pretty common that a 46 lakh per annum offer that's shown on paper, you're actually making 1 lakh rupees a month at the end of it. Okay, that's pretty common. This is the kind of structure that exists. Like I have gotten job offers of exactly this type when I was getting out of my college. So on paper they were 40 35 40 lakhs, and like I did all my calculations and I knew that I would be making maybe 1 lakh rupees when I took that offer home. Okay, so that's like a basic breakdown. Let's now discuss a little bit about the ESOP and the RSU component, and After that, we will discuss more about the taxable and non-taxable components of your cash part of your salary. Okay, so let's first do away with the non-cash part, like the fake part of your salary. Okay, because that part really does not matter, if it, especially if it's not a publicly traded company. Your ESOP kind of part does not really matter much. So let's discuss about that. Okay. Okay, so we'll discuss about ESOPs versus RSU. So ESOP stands for Employee Stock Option Plan, and RSU stands for Restricted Stock Units. And we'll also discuss a little bit about the concept of vesting. Okay, before we do either of that, I think we should take a look at these words. So equity, shares, and stock. So for the sake of our discussion here, they kind of mean the same thing. Okay, so what do they really mean is, like, if I say start a company with three co-founders. So there is, like, person A, and there is person B, and there is person C, right? So if they start a company, say A is like the major person who is contributing a lot of stuff to it. So maybe what they have divided the equity into is, like, C has 25% equity in the company, and B has got 25% equity in the company as well. So that's like B's share, and that's A's share. So A has, say, 50% equity in the company. And how does that equity kind of work out is, say we take our company and we divide it into say 1000 shares, and A has 500 of those, and B and C, so they have 250 and 250 each of these shares. Okay, now what happens is, say tomorrow, if there is a round of funding that happens in the company, like some investor comes and they say that we really like the idea of what your company is doing, and we want to invest some money into it. So what can be done is, like, investor I comes, and at that point we can create, say, 1000 more shares, and give it to I. Okay, so some new shares are created for I. Okay, so now what happens is, these percentages, like A now is owning 50% of the, A was earlier owning 50% of the company, and now A actually owns 25% of the company, and B and C own 12.5% each now of the company, right? What happens about employee shares is that we create a pool of shares. Let's say we create another pool of, say, 100 shares apart from this. Okay, and this pool of shares is not owned by A, B, C, or I. It's actually owned by the company itself, and it's called the ESOP pool. So what happens with the ESOP pool is, whenever somebody joins the company, they are offered some shares out of this ESOP pool. Now, unless you are, like, among the first 5-6 people in a company, or like max first 10 people in a company, you don't see you getting any kind of equity or ESOPs or shares of anywhere close to 1%. Okay, so generally, like, the first few founders initially in the company, they would have like 50%, 30%, this kind of an equity division. A lot of times it's just equally, like 5 people might have 20% each. And then, like, when an investor comes in, the investor takes, say, 30-40%, and then the second investor comes in, they take 30-40% again. So the others shares, like, kind of reduce to 20-10-5 kind of percent for these founders. And like, if there were some really early stage employees, like people who were like the second, third, fourth employee in the company, they might have, like, 0.5%, 1% kind of equity. What happens is, when you are being offered a job in a company where there are, say, 50 people, and you are being offered a job in that kind of company, even in a senior position, you might be offered ESOPs, and you would be told that you are being offered ESOPs worth a lot of money. So for example, say a company like even say Zomato, Swiggy, these size of companies, big basket. So these kind of companies, they are valuated at I think like 700 crores they are getting valuated at. Okay, and some of the highest kind of executives like the VP engineering or like product director kind of people, they are being offered say 1 CR worth of ESOPs. They will not get it immediately, but they will get it over time. So 1 CR worth of ESOPs is still 1 by 700 of the company. So it's not even 1%. It's more closer to 0.1%, and that's like one of the biggest chunks of shares. If you are like somebody like a company worth 700 crores kind of companies, and you are a fresh graduate joining in as a software developer, you might be getting offered something like 20 lakh worth of ESOPs. Okay, so that would be 0.01% of the company, or sometimes 0.001% of the company. So that's the kind of ESOPs we are talking about. Okay, shares and equity. Okay, now talking about these things, so ESOPs versus RSUs. So what happens is RSUs are possible only if the company is already public. So which means that its shares are getting traded on the market, like on the BSE, NSE, or the New York Stock Exchange or something like that. Okay, ESOPs are possible in both companies which are traded publicly as well as companies which have not yet become public. So they might be funded startups, but their shares are not yet traded publicly. So the key word here is option. Okay, so O stands for option, which means that when you get ESOPs, it means that you get an option to buy certain equity at certain price. So for example, I can tell you, like I got an offer from a startup in my college time. It was not really a startup, like it was 4 or 5 year old company, had been funded. So my offer had so I think 10 lakhs worth of ESOPs, which means is that if the company is valued at 100 crores, okay, so which means 1 crore would be 1%. Okay, so 10 lakh would mean 0.1% of the company. Okay, so if the company has 1 lakh shares, right? So if the company has 1 lakh shares issued, me getting 10 lakh rupees worth of ESOP means that I have been promised 1,000 shares out of this. Okay, so I have the option to get 1,000 shares of that company, versus that, like with RSUs, what happens is you're generally given the equity to you. You don't get an option. So RSUs are common with say publicly traded companies like say Amazon. You're joining in US, you get like they say that first year you get 100,000 dollars worth of RSUs you will get. So when you end your first year of job, you get Amazon's actual publicly traded shares that you can go to New York Stock Exchange and you can buy those shares with your own money as well. So those exact same kind of shares, you get 100,000 worth of those shares, you are given that to you. Now understand that with RSUs, when you get these shares, because you start owning these shares immediately, you actually have to pay tax on them as well. So whenever there are RSUs, you have to pay tax immediately on those shares. So you don't need to pay the 100,000 rupees, of course. That's what the shares are given to you instead of money. But because these shares you can sell immediately, you have gained some money in your pocket, so you have to pay tax immediately on that amount. With ESOPs, it's a little different. With ESOPs, you get 10 lakh worth options. Now say you get this 10 lakh worth option, 1 year later, like when you joined the company, you were promised 10 lakh worth options. 1 year later, when this 10 lakh worth ESOPs actually are in your pocket now, not in your pocket, you have the option to buy these. At that point of time, the value of the company, it was at 100 crores. Now it is say at 300 crores. Okay, so the 1,000 shares that you had, they were worth 10 lakh earlier. Now they are worth 30 lakhs. Okay, so at that point, what you can do is you can exercise your option. By exercising your option, you would be actually buying these equity and then selling them as well. So you can buy at 10 and then sell at 30. So you make the profit of 20 lakhs. When you make this profit of 20 lakhs, you have to pay your tax on that 20 lakhs amount. Now, of course, with ESOPs, if it's a privately held company, like these startups which are funded but they're not yet on the market, in that case you can't actually sell your ESOPs unless there is somebody ready to buy shares of a private company. Now, privately held company which is not publicly traded, usually it's not possible to sell your shares, so people just hold the ESOPs, they just keep the ESOPs with them till this company IPOs, like it becomes initial public offering, it goes on the share market. Till that point, people just keep their ESOP, they keep their options, they don't actually exercise the options, because if you exercise the option and you don't sell it, then you would actually have to pay tax on 10 lakh rupees, which would be something like 3 lakh rupees tax you have to pay, while you did not actually get any money, and you can't even sell it. So you neither are able to share the stock, nor actually you have got the money, but you still have to pay 3 lakh tax. So you don't do that. Okay, so that's the difference between ESOPs and RSUs. So ESOPs don't give you the tax liability, but they also you can't sell also immediately unless you actually have a buyer. RSUs come with the tax liability, but it's publicly traded stock, so it's kind of like cash because you can immediately sell it as well. That's the difference between ESOPs and RSUs. Okay, the next segment we'll just discuss a little bit about the breakdown of the cash component of your salary itself. Now that we're talking about the actual cash part of your salary, it's important to understand about base versus bonus as well. Okay, now you could have a job where you have say a 10 lakh base, and you have got a joining bonus of 10 lakh more. This is the kind of job which I kind of don't like. Okay, it's not a good kind of an offer, because your base should be, I think, 70-75% of your cash component of your salary. And so why so? It's because the base is the component on which you will get your increment at the end of the year. Okay, so your bonuses are they're given this year and then they're forgotten next year. So next year you might have different bonuses, you might not have any bonuses. So having a 10 lakh joining bonus is no guarantee about the next year. Okay, now let's also talk about what kind of bonuses exist. So there exists joining bonus, retaining bonus, and performance bonus. Now what the joining bonus means is that this is a kind of bonus that you get of course at the time of joining. This bonus is usually given, for example, you are coming from a job which pays say 12 lakhs. Okay, but this company does not want to give you like a base of say 12 lakhs. So this company might instead say, okay, we will give you a 10 lakh base plus a 4 lakh joining bonus. So you feel like, okay, I am getting 14 lakhs salary here, but at the end of the year what will happen is you might get an increment on 10 lakh, which will make your new base as I know what you'll get a new base of 12, and plus they will say this second year we're giving you a retaining bonus of say 2 lakhs. Now you see what happens is that this remains the same, so you don't actually gain much in terms of salary in the second year now, because you took a lower base than earlier and you have taken a bonus, right? So a joining bonus is kind of a tool to show a bigger package, but they don't want to like the company is not very confident upon giving you a higher base, because if you did not work all that well, they can just give you a small raise and not add any other bonuses next year. Okay, now about retaining bonus. So retaining bonus is something that you get this money at the end of the year. So this is a tactic that companies use to make sure that you don't leave the companies early. So you might have a retaining bonus in the form of you get so this is something that I have gotten in most of the jobs, like salary kind of negotiations I have done, like offers I've gotten and offers I've accepted. Retaining bonus, especially like if you start getting a little senior, if you're leading a team or being a manager, in that case retaining bonuses kind of come into the picture a lot more, because the company wants you to actually stay there for long. They don't want you to leave within 6 months. So they might say that you will have a retaining bonus, and retaining bonuses are structured in a very different way. So they are structured generally like say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 kind of a format. So that means that after 6 months you get 1 lakh. Okay, after 1 year you get 2 lakhs additionally. Okay, and after 1.5 year, like after 18 months you get 3 lakhs, and finally if you are at the end of 2 years you get 4 lakhs. So if you are there for 2 years in this company, you would get a total of 10 lakhs. Okay, but if you are there only for 6 months, you get only 1 lakh. Okay, so the longer you are, the more amount of retaining bonus is given to you, and like your initial annual package might have a retaining bonus that is disbursed over 2 years as well. So that's kind of a tricky little thing which you should notice in your salary package. So I think I have gotten a offer where it was I asked for a 20 lakh was like the negotiation, and I asked like I want a 20 lakh packages sometime a year after college. So even when I was doing Coding Blocks full time, I used to keep giving interviews and keep seeing that whether or not I am good enough to get job offers. I should do that. So I got a 20 lakh. I said that I want 20 lakh. They asked what's your expectation. I said I want 20 lakh, and they say that you have 18 as the base. And you have got a retaining bonus of 2 lakhs, and then they finally gave me the offer letter which was printed. In that I said that okay, but it says that the retaining bonus would be paid over a period of 2 years, so means at the end of the first year I will get only 19 lakhs. The next 1 lakh I will get in the next year. So then they redid the offer for me. They said that okay, we will give you 4 lakhs of retaining bonus, 2 lakhs at the end of first year, 2 lakhs at the end of second year. So like that they did. So yeah, that's something that you should keep in mind. Like your retaining bonus can have like a they might say this entire 10 lakh they can put it inside your package, but you're not actually getting 10 lakhs. You will at the end of the first year also you would be getting 2 plus 1 is just 3 lakhs, and 7 lakhs you get in the second year. Okay, then there's performance bonus, and performance bonus is kind of a thing that is pretty varied, and that's something you can have a discussion when you're looking at your job. So if you say that your performance bonus is say 5 lakhs, okay, what does that mean? It could mean that your max performance bonus is 5 lakh, which means if you are like the employee of the year, then you get 5 lakhs. Otherwise in all scenarios you get less than 5 lakh. Okay, that's one kind of way performance bonuses are given, that the maximum performance bonus is shown inside your CTC. The other kind of performance bonus calculation is that if you meet expectations, you will get 5 lakhs. If you don't meet expectations, you will get less than 5. If you exceed expectations, you will get more than 5. So 5 is like the standard. So there is something that a 9-box calibration kind of a thing that a lot of companies, big organizations do. So they put you in a chart, and this shows your potential, and this shows this shows your efficiency, and this shows your potential. So if you are somewhere here, it means like you have very high potential and you have performed well, and you have the potential to perform even better. If you are somewhere here, it means you have performed well, but there is little potential for you to grow. If you are somewhere here, it means that you have very high potential, but you have not performed very well. And so if basically some performance bonuses are like this, that if you are above this line, then you will get more than 5 lakhs. If you are below this line, then you will get less than 5 lakhs. Okay, so that's another way of calculating performance bonus. Also, sometimes performance bonuses are not dependent on only your performance, but also the performance of the company. So it might have like 2 multiplying factors. Okay, so if the company's performance is good plus your performance is good, you get 5. If the company's performance is average, your performance is good, then you get 4 lakhs. Something like that can also happen. So performance bonus is a vague term, but you have to understand whether it depends on only your performance or it depends on the performance of the company as well. And you have to understand whether it's the maximum amount that is possible, or it is the base amount that is possible, or it is the minimum amount that is possible. So to understand that. Okay, finally, one thing about the joining clause is a very important part, which is called the bond. So this is something you should always be careful about when you're joining, is that do you have a bond? A bond means that sometimes the joining bonus is conditional. So it says that, when you join the company, the first month you get a joining bonus of say 10 lakhs. But if you leave the company within 6 months, you have to return 5 lakhs. If you leave the company within first 1 year, you have to return another 5 lakhs. Okay. So which means that, if you leave the company after 6 months, you will get only 5 lakhs. If you leave the company after 1 year, then you don't need to return anything out of that joining bonus. So joining bonuses can have it's called either a clawback clause. It's like clawing back, like the company will claw it back from you, or it's called a return clause, or it's called a bond. But whatever it is, it can exist. So that also keep in mind. I have seen job offers, I've gotten job offers where base was X, plus joining bonus was 2X, and that had a clawback. Never look at offers like those. You might be given an offer of say 10 lakh base plus 20 lakh joining bonus, and this 20 lakh is has to be returned if you leave. So that's kind of very dangerous. Like, it makes it difficult for you to leave that company if you have an offer like that. A lot of these offers at Amazon and Microsoft in the initial years, they have a very big joining bonus. They don't have a very strict clawback clause. You have to give it back if you leave within 6 months or 1 year. But the thing is, next year when you get an increment, you see your joining bonus is just going to vanish. Okay. And you will get an increment on 10. So what will happen is, like, maybe first year you receive 30 lakhs. Okay. Next year you might receive only 15 lakhs, and that might sound really ridiculous. But there are a lot of companies, like I think Amazon, the job offers are designed in such a way that if you add an average increase of 10% on your salary every year, and like if you consider that after 2 years there's going to be no amount of joining bonus anymore. In fact, the offers are such that in the third year you would actually get less salary than your first year. Okay, that might sound funny to you, but almost nobody stays in Amazon after getting the offer for more than 2 years. So their offers are designed to basically lure people for the first 2 years, because they know that nobody stays for 3 years. So all of these calculations in your mind you should do. Okay. So I think I'll just end this video here. It gives you a good idea about your cash part of the package and your ESOPs and RSUs. If you want to learn about things like how the vesting schedules work, how you can handle things like taxes and all in your first job, so if you want things like that to talk about, I think these are kind of things we don't usually talk about, because our channel is really a lot about technical stuff. But I found a lot of requests coming in for things like this, because many of our students do join jobs and they look at their packages and they see how to adjust them, so and how to negotiate packages. So if you want some more videos to be made on this topic, like how to negotiate salaries, how to negotiate increments, and how to efficiently have a tax structure around your cash component and something like that, like whatever tips that we might have for you to share from our experience, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and please write in the comments if you want me to discuss anything specifically more about this. Hope this has been informative, and when you're looking at your first salary package, you get your offers, I hope you get more than one, so that you have multiple offers to compare, and then something like this can help you compare your offers. And don't get discouraged when you look at people getting 50-60 lakh packages. They might actually be getting only 1 lakh rupees home. Okay, so you never know, right? Okay, so have a nice day. Goodbye.